Hey guys, today we're in the book of Joshua, chapter 2. Yesterday, Joshua gave Israel 3 days to prepare themselves to get ready to cross over into the promised land. Remember, they are camped on the east side of the Jordan, directly across from a city called Jericho. Jericho is but a mile or two from the Jordan River. Jericho can see Israel on the other side of the Jordan River. They're gearing up for war. And so Joshua does something that he knows very well. He sends spies ahead of him. Remember, Joshua and Caleb were the only two that are left of the original 12 spies that Moses sent into the land with the first generation of Israel. And so it says, and Joshua the son of Nun sent 2 men, not 12, and sent them from Shittim as spies. Shittim is a place in which they are camped about a mile or two on the east side of the Jordan River. Shittim is just a Hebrew name that means acacia trees. It's kind of like a little woodsy area, a little oasis, if you will. They went and came into the house of a prostitute. It's not that they went to seek out a prostitute. This would have been like a bar, a tavern. This was a place that many travelers would have frequented. They come in, behold them, and it was told to the king of Jericho, behold, men of Israel have come in here tonight to search out the land. Because the people of Jericho would have known Israel was there, they would have watched them, they would have saw these men come across the Jordan, and they knew that they had some spies among their midst. But the woman, Rahab, would have taken these 2 men and hidden them, and she ended up lying to cover for them, right? And so they put them on the roof, put them under some things, and put them under some bundles. The men came and said, "Hey, where are these guys?" And she said, "Hey, they've ran off." And so the soldiers run off outside of the city looking for these spies. Before the men lay down, she came up on the roof and she said this, I know that the Lord, notice it's capitalized, I know that Yahweh, the name of Israel's God, has given you the land, that the fear of you has fallen upon us and all the inhabitants of the land. Remember, Moses has talked about this over and over and over and over. God has told Moses, and Moses has told Israel, that as they go forth, God would go before them and bring terror to the hearts of all the enemies of God. And so it's exactly what happened. And as soon as we heard it, our hearts melted. It means they lost charisma, and there was no spirit left in us. So she's saying all the people of Jericho, all the people of Canaan, all the people of the promised land, they're scared of this God. Because why? Because he is the God of heavens, above the heaven and earth, and they have heard of what this God did to King Sihon and Og that we read back into the law. He says, I have dealt kindly with you, and you also will deal kindly with my father's house. Not only did Rahab want salvation, she wanted salvation for her whole family. And the men said to her, our life for yours. So they agreed to this. We will deal kindly. And so here's what happened. They are going to, Rahab said, go into the hills, right? Which is just a little north of them, hide out for a day or so, and then they could go back. And so, but the spies left her a present. Behold, verse 18, when she come into the land, you shall tie this scarlet cord in the window through which you will let us down. A lot of people think this was a rope. It's not a rope. It was a signifying piece of material, okay? And so it would have been something that would have been so uncommon that when Israel comes back to do battle, it's something they would have easily seen and they easily would have known. And so this idea of scarlet, of blood, of cleansing in the window through which you will let us down. And you shall gather into your house your father, your mother, your brothers, and your sisters, right? So there was a promise made between Rahab, a covenant between Rahab and the spies. And this covenant says, help us escape. We'll give you the scarlet cord. Keep the secret. Stay in your house, right? So it was faith in which she was saved, faith in God, but it was also works that proved her faith. She had to keep the secret. She had to place the scarlet cord. She had to gather her family. Faith brought salvation. Works proved the heart of salvation. So very important that you see that there. And she said, according to your words, so be it. I will do this. Then she sent them away, and they departed, and she tied the scarlet cord in the window. This action of faith, this action that proves her faith. They departed and went into the hills and remained there for 3 days, which was a part of the first day. So they stayed there one total day, a part of another, which equals 3 days. And then the two men returned. They crossed back the Jordan. They entered in back with Israel. And they said to Joshua, truly the Lord has given the land into our hands, and also all the inhabitants of the land melt away because of us. This is completely different than the story that we read back in Numbers. Remember, Moses sends spies out into Israel. They come back. 2 said, Joshua and Caleb, the land is ready, God is with us. 10 were scared and led Israel away by not having faith in God. These 2 spies come back and declare faith in God. They were ready to go. They knew that God had done this because they have seen and heard with their own eyes and their ears that God has made them scared. God has made a way for Israel to come in. And so once again, they quoted this prostitute, right? Notice this, these spies, these Israelites quote a pagan prostitute in verse 9, and it says, the inhabitants of the land melted away because of us, the exact words of Rahab. So you can see here a great story of getting ready, and you say, well, where is Jesus in this? Well, we'll find out in a little bit, but Rahab is in the genealogy of Jesus. This pagan prostitute is in the line of Jesus. If it wasn't for Rahab, it would not be Jesus, right? So very closely tied together. We'll see more about that in the next coming chapters. Hope that makes a little bit more sense, and we'll see you tomorrow in Joshua chapter 3. God bless.